Cup to the Macau GT Cup, and what promises to be a real challenge for the drivers. It has been raining all morning. It is still raining now, although it's perhaps more heavy drizzle than absolutely flat out rain. But it has been a really wet road. The drivers have had a couple of installation laps around to the grid, and now the race officials will decide whether we're going to have a safety car start and how this may well affect the rest of proceedings. Welcome to the grid, everybody. It is a very busy grid, and I tell you what, this entry is just awesome. You've got pretty much just about every star GT3 driver that you can possibly imagine. And while the cars are arriving, and we've got a bit of time, let's go for a walk and see who we might be able to grab. It might well be that drivers are reluctant to get out of cars because they don't want to be necessarily getting wet or getting steamed up inside the cars. But we'll see whether or not we can grab one or two. Dries Van Voor, who was second yesterday, made an absolutely demon start and was able to try and grab the advantage on the way to the first corner, and doesn't want to open his door because of the rain and the condensation, which is understandable. I'll see if I can grab a team or two, so please do bear with. The last thing the drivers want is to, I suppose, become awfully steamed up inside the cars, which you can kind of get. BMW yesterday, 1 and 2. Raffaele Marciello was the winner. He and Dries Van Voor went absolutely side by side down to the first corner. And it was at turn 3, Lisboa, where Dries Van Voor just went ever so slightly wide. That opened the door, and that allowed Raffaele Marciello to go through and take the advantage. I'm going to see whether I can get to Mercedes, because the door is open and a driver is out of the car, and that driver is Mauro Engel, who is very busy talking to the team. Mauro, of course, has been a winner here in the past, and busy explaining to the team what he thinks and what he might want to do to the car in a moment. So let's see, as I say, whether we can grab a word. Mauro knows his way around here because he's been dominant in the past. Mauro, sorry to interrupt you. I know these are slightly nervy times. You've had a look at the circuit. What are your thoughts? Is this a bit like the Nordschleife at this weather?
Yeah, a little bit maybe. Very wet, but obviously we're happy to take it because we saw yesterday in the dry, difficult to compete with these guys in front, especially on top speed. So hopefully in the wet we have some opportunities.
It's a kind of circuit of two halves, isn't it? You've got the really fast bit we're standing on now down to Lisboa. Then it's a bit slower. It might be easier to manage over the mountain section. This is the challenging bit, I guess.
It's all a challenge, to be honest with you. It's all a challenge. Yeah, we'll just have to see how we get into the race and how things settle down.
If anybody can do it round here, it's you. You've won here in the past. You know what to expect.
Thank you. Cheers.
Good luck, Mauro. Mauro Engel, then, who, as I say, has been a real hero around here in the past. Let's keep walking, because you never know who you might bump into on a GT grid. As we head back towards sort of BMW area, Augusto Farfus's car is on the next row. Sheldon van der Linden next. You get the feeling it's quite BMW-ish, although Antonio Fuoco's Ferrari was mighty impressive yesterday as well. One other team I was looking for was Craft Bamboo, because that's a squad that has had good success around here in the past. Walk with me. My cameraman is doing a mega job of trying to second guess where I'm going, and I'm going to try and head off at the pass. Vincent Vos, the man behind Team WRT. So Vincent, now this is like Spa weather, isn't it? Have you organised this to help Dries?
Yeah, well, I recognize the feeling, but the heat is a bit different, and the place is a bit different.
Now, look, yesterday it was a really good battle between the two, and Dries just made a tiny error at turn 3, it looked.
Yeah, well, he had to take the chance. Of course, we know how difficult it is here. To overtake in those conditions would be a bit different. But, yeah, let's see.
It's a unique challenge, all of this. You come here with, okay, a car you know, a driver that knows the car. You as a team all work together, but it's a street circuit. It's a sprint race. It's different weather. You don't have perhaps the same infrastructure. You've got to freight it from Europe. It's a unique event.
Yeah, it's a very unique event. I mean, it's once a year we come to Macau, and it's an incredible event. Yeah, let's say that no one expects, I think, to have that much rain today. So let's see what we can do in the wet.
Fingers crossed. Vincent, good luck. Right, let's go this way, chaps, because we've heard a lot about BMW. There are Porsches to enjoy on the grid as well. Alessio Picariello in 911. Laurens Vanthoor, who's won this event in the past, upside down, is over there, but busy talking to the team. Lamborghini we ought to touch on as well, because Eduardo Mortara, Mr. Macau as they call him, is this year for Lamborghini. And one driver I want to talk to specifically because, sad to say, this isn't quite how we expected Luca Angel. If I get my cameraman to point down, you'll see the effects of a really nasty accident in qualifying. Luca, it's good to see you on the grid. Are you okay, is the main question.
Yeah, all good. I mean, seeing the incident, it's all good, all good.
It was a really high-speed accident you had. What happened the other day? Well, just talk us through it.
I mean, everybody saw that we've struggled big time in quali. Having Edo on P11 in quali just shows that we were not there, so it was clear that we need to take maximum risk, and that's what I did. I went all in, yeah, knowing that it's going to be tough, but I tried it flat, and in the end, yeah, didn't work out, as you can see.
But a big shame, because in GT World Challenge Europe, you've won the Gold Cup and you've had success in the DTM. You've had a really good season otherwise.
Well, honestly, I felt great. Even the first practice with P5, where we've been in wet condition, was great. And in the dry, I think it was all right, seeing where I've been compared to Edo. But then, obviously, the reason why we wake up is to be here in front of the grid and not within the brand. So you take maximum risk and try to be there. It's a one-hit wonder here, this event. There's no championship. So, yeah. That's the outcome then. And
it was a big hit. Are you okay? You've got the bandages on. Are you all right?
Yeah, it looks worse than it is. It's all good.
Get well soon. Good to see you on the grid. Luca Angela then. Lamborghini Eduardo Mortara, similar car, the Vincenzo Sospiri team operating that. Let's see if we can go a little bit further down the grid. I was heading towards Mercedes land. I've heard in the background that we're going to start behind the safety car. Actually, I'm going to deviate and go and talk to David Kennedy. David, before you run away, David is a master of this place, and he's here with his Theodore Racing badge on his shirt. And Theodore Racing is a very special part of the Macau Grand Prix.
Well, when you consider that Teddy Senior started the event, so that's pretty important. And of course was the man and the brains and the organiser that got Ayrton Senna to drive here. So the legacy is really quite exceptional, and his son has taken that over. So we're delighted to have what we consider some of the best drivers on the grid, with Eduardo here and Matteo, quite exceptional, and Lamborghini bringing a lot of colour and interest to the event. And of course, with the sponsor that we got, SJM, we're doing reasonably well.
Now, talking of exceptional, what's this coming out of the heavens? This isn't Macau.
It's not Macau, no, but it's like Irish weather, so we're going to go. We're going to go very well with all of that. So no, we're looking forward to it. And on the regional thing as well, you saw the accident. We lost 2 cars, and we've got cars that are setting purple sector times. So it'll be a very entertaining regional race here as well. And this kind of weather suits Eduardo as well. Yeah. So we're looking for a good finish here.
David, nice to see you. Good luck. Right, everybody being ushered off the grid, so I think I probably better go with them. The grid is just about cleared. Last engineers will stay with the car to the 1-minute board, fire up the engine. It'll be a safety car start, which means as the cars leave the grid, the race will be underway, effectively. And this is the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup. Let's go racing.
David, thank you very much indeed. Great to hear from a number of people down there on the grid. I wondered just how easy that was going to be as we look at Raffaele Marciello's car down there on pole position. Dominant yesterday here at Macau. Different conditions today. They've really got to use every bit of experience around this circuit, and Raffaele Marciello has got bags of it. 2 wins in the FIA GT Cup here at Macau, represented on the helmet, the special livery on the helmet for this weekend. Dries Van Toor, second BMW on the front row of the grid, a BMW lockout this weekend, and we heard from Marlon Engel a couple of moments ago, maybe this is the opportunity with the wet weather conditions that Mercedes need to bring the game to BMW. Talking of BMWs, that's Augusto Farfus. He is also a former winner of the FIA GT Cup here at Macau, and the Brazilian who has been with the BMW fold for many, many years, and a Le Mans winner here with Ferrari, finishing 3rd yesterday, having a really good race, Antonio Fiocco, and great to see Ferrari representing on the grid as well. Back there to the 3rd row of the grid, another BMW, a former DTM winner, Sheldon van der Linde, in the number 31 car on the grid. Firing up the engines, getting ready, standing by for what is to be an extremely exciting GT3 FIA GT World Cup and Macau GT Cup here, around 12 laps of Macau. Getting underway slightly early. We've been up against the weather conditions throughout today as the grid is cleared. Due to get this underway at 12:10 local time, just less than 30 seconds away from getting the cars behind the safety car, getting the race underway, which they will do with the safety car start. It will count towards the laps of the race once they are sent around the Guia Circuit. and the rain has eased off in the last hour or so, which is jolly good news because the rain has been pretty heavy and pretty relentless this morning. We got one race sort of completed. It was completed behind the safety car, which has now happened. A green flag has waved and the world's best GT drivers assemble at Macau to get the 2024 installment of the Macau GT Cup underway. It's a glorious noise and a glorious sight as you look down onto the grid, as so many horsepower is unleashed on a very, very tricky circuit. Instantly, Raffaele Marciello weaves the car from side to side to try and get a bit of heat nice and early on the lap into the tyres, because at this point they don't know how many laps they will do behind the safety car. Let's have a look at the starting grid. Raffaele Marciello and Dries van Toor see a BMW lockout on the front row of the grid. Antonio Fuoco, Maro Engel, Ferrari and Mercedes on the second row of the grid. BMW on row 3. Augusto Farfus, a former winner here at Macau, and Sheldon van der Linde on row 3. Alessio Piccarello on the next row of the grid alongside the second of the Van Toor brothers. Podcast favourites they are. Lawrence Van Toor on the outside of the fourth row of the grid. Christopher Haase and Eduardo Mortara, the man that's known as Mr. Macau. He's a rock star here at Macau. Cannot walk 2 paces without being stopped for a selfie or an autograph. Edo Mortara in a Lamborghini for 2024. Ricardo Fella and Danny Juncadella on the next row of the grid. And as they thread their way around the top section, they climb and they go left to right and up and down on this top part of the Macau Guia Circuit. We see the absolute focus in the eyes of Eduardo Mortara. We've spoken about this before. He barely blinks. Absolute concentration as he threads his way around. And in these conditions, you need every single millisecond of concentration. David, welcome back.
Thank you. It's a tad drier up here. It's still incredibly humid out there. Apologies that 1 or 2 of the drivers were reluctant to open the door, but you can understand not wanting to get the cars all steamed up, but hopefully 1 or 2 of those.
I think you did a lot better than we thought you might.
Good to see Luca Engler down there,
yes.
as you saw what he took the other day. So we're riding on board in Ferrari number 50 with Guia FA. Gives you an idea of not just the track, as Alan has been describing it, but of the rain as well. I've got to say that having stood out there, it was drizzle to rain to drizzle to nothing, and all the way back, it's pretty much stopped on our side of the circuit. So my optimism app is working overtime, and we are on lap 1 of 16 in this FIA GT World Cup race. The Macau GT Cup, another race, Alan, with a mega history.
And loads of the drivers that are taking part in this race have won this race before. They know what it is to conquer the streets of Macau in hugely powerful GT3 machinery. But they don't necessarily know what it's like to win a race here at Macau in the wet, and that is the prospect that they have. We've been able to bring the race forward a little bit. They're all professional teams, ultra-professional drivers, ready to go when they were called to say. It's sometimes tricky to get a race underway a little bit early, but they were all ready to go, quarter of an hour early, and that is testimony to the drivers and to the teams as well.
It talked to one engineer who, when I said, what do you, this was about half an hour before the pit lane opened, I said, what are your thoughts? He said, I'd like not to run, because we've got to put this in a crate and take it to Bathurst for the 12 hours next year. He said, I don't really want a load of damage, but hey, we'll give it a go. You never know what's going to happen. And that's true, because as you heard Maro Engel say, anything's possible.
And Maro
Experience
Engel,
counts.
yeah, Maro Engel was sort of suggesting that they were a little bit away from the BMWs yesterday, that in the dry were supreme and dominant earlier on in the course of 4 days for the 71st Macau Grand Prix weekend. We saw that the Mercedes were much, much closer, and the BMWs were a little bit further back in the damp and wet conditions, but with the safety car board being displayed, we now have 1 lap completed for the 2024 Macau GT Cup, FIA GT World Cup. 1 lap complete behind the safety car.
And it means Raffaele Marciello leads, Dries van Toor, Antonio Fuoco third, Maro Engel is fourth, Augusto Farfus fifth, and Sheldon van der Linde is in 6th place, and we did see in the road sport race early on today that it doesn't necessarily follow under the safety car. The grid order, somebody had a spin and a problem with the wall, and of course you've got no real option but to overtake when somebody's having a drama like that. The BMW then of Raffaele Marciello in the lead. He was the winner last year for Mercedes AMG. Switched brands, and he's been driving in myriad GT championships, but also in a Hypercar program as well for BMW. It was quite a thing, really, to wrench Raffaele away from Mercedes AMG, for whom he'd had so much success. But it's still been an impressive switch. Dries Van Voort became a BMW factory driver, really, where WRT, the team for whom he was driving Audis, switched allegiance by the BMW route. And he, like the man ahead, the man behind, also has a Hypercar link. Both types too. Two for Dries Van Voort, then Hypercar for BMW this year. And Antonio Fuoco, lest we forget, in 3rd place. The man that won Le Mans this year, one of the 3 that won Le Mans. But coming here, you know, it just illustrates the level. I think 70% of this grid are platinum graded drivers. That's an illustration of how intense a competition this is, how strong this entry is. And GT3 racing, the category that we run this for, created by Stefano Matteo and SRO Motorsports Group, has been just a massive success. It began at Silverstone many moons ago in actually not dissimilar conditions. Actually, I can remember being a pretty wet weekend. But there are something like 1,800 GT3 cars now around the world, and many of them are still competing because the older cars get loaded off into club championships, national championships, the updates, the new cars come on stream. The GT3 racing just has been one of motor racing success stories in recent years. Hard to gauge the weather really. Now looking out of our window, I can't see rain falling, but in certain parts of the track there's a lot of spray, which is inevitable.
And the puddle, which is directly opposite our commentary box line, just after the start-finish line, the water has actually abated a little bit on the tarmac, so we do have, I know this is weird to say it, but probably the best track conditions that we have had throughout today. It was very wet from first thing this morning. The Motorcycle Grand Prix not able to happen first thing this morning. We were able, behind the safety car, to complete one of our local races for the Macau Road Sport Challenge, the Macau SAR Establishment Cup. But behind the safety car, we have top world-class drivers. And look at the pace of the BMW safety car. We've gone up a gear, haven't we?
We have. So the race director, Miroslav Bartos, I think, is pondering letting them go, because as Mario Engel was saying on the grid, yeah, okay, you've got a high-speed section, but the mountain part of the circuit is relatively slow, and that's where precision counts, wet or dry. So this is the iffy bit, and it's not being helped by the spray, is it? I mean, that was like the dead of night, not 17 minutes past 12 just after lunchtime, but the cameras trick you a little bit with the spray hanging in the air there. The safety car down towards Lisboa, heading into that braking zone. Raffaele Marciello will be, of course, the race leader as the man leading for pole position. If you look on board, it doesn't look that bad at all, does it? So, EFA with the wiper going, but there's not a vast amount of water actually there to shift off the screen. That gives a bit more encouragement, doesn't it? Down towards Lisboa comes EFA. They're all on Pirelli wets, of course, and the sustainable fuel which the cars are running as well this year. This is San Francisco. This is where, Alan, the road really starts to narrow and become almost a different circuit altogether.
This is a real test, isn't it? The barriers either side, the walls either side, the change in undulation of the circuit, and the jigs from left to right and left to right, and there is very little space to squeeze two GT3 cars side by side, has been known. Doesn't always work, but this is a real test. This is very much the nature of the Guia Circuit here at Macau, and I agree with you, absolutely, this is room for positivity as far as this race is concerned, because the pace is up.
James Yu, who is in penultimate place, is being given the meatball flag, that black and orange mechanical warning flag. His rear rain lights are not on. The instruction has been given to everybody to put them on. It's been a reminder to him as well, and it ain't happened, so therefore there must be a problem that's preventing the Uno Racing Audi's rear lights from being on. Ergo, he's got to come into the pit lane and attend to, because in these conditions, lights 4 and a half are obligatory. Currently working lap number 3 here, and as the clock ticks, the GT World Cup field makes its way around the Guia Circuit. There, it does look pretty wet. It's slow part of the circuit, so relatively speaking, that's perhaps less of a concern than it would be elsewhere. You can see the tar marks cutting through the water, and they're staying cut through, aren't they? They're not then being covered up by a deluge of water. And here, all right, a bit of rain on the windscreen, but that's looking pretty decent on board Mortara's Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Run Lamborghini that carries the Theodore Racing tag.
Let's say once again, this is a collection of the world's top GT drivers. So if anyone can master the streets of Macau in conditions like this, then this lot can. It's an absolute mouth-watering prospect every time we have the GT3 cars here at Macau. And when they've got this extra test as well, well, goodness me, they're really going to show why they are world class.
So there's going to be one more lap, I think, behind the safety car at least, because it's coming over the timing line now. But the last lap through was 3 minutes and 28 seconds. We'll see whether the pace has picked up. It has. It's a 3 minutes 21. So what I was saying about the cars just looking that little bit quicker is certainly true. Now, of course, it's not race pace, but the point being that the closer to a race pace you go up incrementally, a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker, a little bit quicker, get the drivers used to then accelerating, not from, if you like, 50% to full, but let's say 85% to full. It's an easier transition to make, isn't it? So they're getting them there gradually behind the safety car, and I think we're still clear on this side of the circuit from extra rain. James Yu coming down the pit lane, incidentally. Although his rear rain lights look like they're on now, but it's not very bright, but they'll have a look at it.
They certainly will, and we've got 3 laps completed now in this 2024 Macau GT Cup, and relevance of the weather, we have packed grandstands. They have been initially given clear ponchos over the course of this weekend. I think we've gone through so many. We're now onto the blue collection because they are the ponchos that have been handed out to an expectant crowd who cannot wait to see this race underway.
I went to watch the blue ponchos in Bridlington once. They were awesome.
Great band.
Absolutely. Right, we're on. Yeah, you think. Threads his way between the barriers. The fastest lap of the race, for what it's worth, is from Daniel Serra, who's one of the Ferrari drivers this weekend. Good to have, as ever, a Ferrari presence. You've got all the great sports car GT brands, Ferrari, Porsche, Mercedes, but it's BMW leading the way under these controlled conditions. And do you know what? Every time I look out of the window, it just feels that little bit brighter. There's a bit more of the scenery, a bit more of the backdrop of Macau that's visible out of what was really low cloud earlier on. So Miroslav Bartos, who is the race director, will be talking to the safety car crew. He'll be looking at the pictures. That's James Yu's Audi that I mentioned coming to the pit lane. And it's the rear lights to have tended to. So there are many hands there making lights. Continue on this 4th lap. Rafael Marciano and Dries Van Voor continuing this impressive epic weekend for BMW. They're 2 different teams. They're both BMW factory drivers, but just to give credit where it's due, it's Toro Racing powered by MCG that operates Marcello's car. It's Team WRT that looks after Dries Van Voor. Vincent Ross, who we heard from on the grid. I mentioned it being spa weather. Twig, Belgian, whose first ever race, if memory serves correctly, was at Park, racing at Spa 24 Hours winner himself. So he knows a bit about motor racing and a bit about GT racing and a bit about inclement weather as well.
Down to the Macau hairpin, they thread. Huge credit to the safety car drivers over the course of this year here at Macau, because they have done multiple laps, not just leading races, but also trying to clear water once rain was stopped over the course of this weekend. And they do a great job threading around the Macau hairpin, not least when it's dry, but in particular in conditions like this, is not the work of a moment, and they are properly pressing on. Across the line goes the BMW, leading Raffaele Marciello and Dries Van Voor in their BMWs. Augusto Farfus, who has won here in the FIA GT World Cup at Macau, knows the joy of standing on the top step of the podium.
Last lap was quicker again as the cars went through, so I'm hoping I don't trick myself into optimism here, but we are maybe getting a little bit closer to blast off as you go back and forth with Mortara. Doesn't look too shabby there at all, does it, as he goes down towards Mandarin. Safety car in this lap. We are going to go racing in the FIA GT World Cup. Everybody get your Mario. He's tied by Miroslav Bartos, the race director, because he's going to let him go. And we will see manufacturer star drivers around the streets of Macau. And it's going to be a little bit different from yesterday's start, of course, when it was a rolling side-by-side style start and there was no spray. It's going to be different today, granted, but let's see what happens. At least we're going to have cars racing, and that has not happened for many an hour. Remember, the Road Sport Challenge race was safety car pretty much all the way. TCR never happened, but
I'm getting word that it will happen after this race.
okay, that's the news. GT drivers are good to go. As I say, manufacturer pro drivers, they've all got the big boy pants on, and they're ready for the challenge of the Guia Circuit.
Here we go, we can't wait for this. It's going to be a symphony of noise around the streets of Macau. And we've got barriers all the way around Macau, no runoff area. That is great for the audio experience of the start of this race. Thousands of horsepower will get this race underway once the BMW safety car pulls into pit lane. We haven't got rain at the moment. This is really good news. We do have a wet circuit, but these cars have got big, wide tyres, and over the last 5 laps, they have splashed quite a bit of water out of the way.
They have indeed. Looking back then from Raffaele Marciello's car, you picked up pre-race Dries Van Voor getting the lead yesterday, just running ever so slightly wide of Lisboa, and he'll be trying to force a mistake out of Marciello at the start of this race as well. As I said, it's going to be a rather different field given the nature of the conditions. There'll be 1 or 2 who'll be really on their toes straight off. There'll be 1 or 2 who might be a little bit more cautious, thinking that discretion is the better part of valour. And I do suspect that Maro Engel is probably digging deep into his book of Nordschleifer tricks here, where inclement weather is de rigueur, and seeing what he can do from the start. This is lap 5. Okay, we've eaten into the available 16 of the race, but even so, a blast from here is going to be well worth it, isn't it?
11 laps will be fine, absolutely fine. They were exemplary yesterday. We had a lights to flag race without interruption. I'm confident we're going to get the same again today. What could not be more exciting than what we're about to see? The safety car is going to peel off into pit lane, and then thousands of horsepower unleashed around the Guia Circuit here at Macau.
It is the 2024 FIA GT World Cup main race. It is the Macau GT Cup. It is BMWs 1 and 2. It is Raffaele Marciello ahead of Dries Van Voor, and it is go. Green flag on the timing line. Marciello booms past the pits ahead of Van Voor. Fuoco third. Fourth is Maro Engel in the leading Mercedes-AMG. Then it's Augusto Farfus and Sheldon van der Linde next in the queue. They come through the spray, through the gloom, down towards Mandarin for the first time. Van Voor pulls out, pulls back in again. Has a look, gets visibility more than thinking about a chance to pass. Keep an eye on the background to see if anybody goes really wide and gets themselves in peril, but Engel is on his toes. He's hidden by Fuoco's Ferrari, and Maro Engel dives out of the spray on the outside line there. He's going for third. Maro Engel gets his nose in front, they rub, and Engel tries to go right around the outside. It doesn't quite work, or does it? Fuoco just ahead as they head towards San Francisco. Wow, great effort. It didn't quite work, but Engel is up for a scrap today.
Maro said this could well be the equalisation that we need for this race, and that was a very, very gutsy start, wasn't it, for Maro Engel? It didn't pay off, but you know the intent now, and so too does the Ferrari driver.
And Fuoco is on the back of Van Voor. It isn't just perhaps helping Mercedes this rain, it is helping Ferrari as well. And Marciello is not escaping up the road from Van Voor. Don't forget, of course, Marciello is the pioneer. Every corner, every millimetre of Macau, he is the first one to find that grip level. Threading their way though from Teddy through eternity, and then they drop down towards the Solitude S's. It's still BMWs 1 and 2, although as the lap unwinds, is Marciello just gapping ever so slightly? If he is, it's because Van Voor is holding up Fuoco. This is Mortara's view. Because the Haas are ahead. Down the gear goes Mortara, heading to Police and then Moorish. Trickle back to that part of the circuit, but it's a low-speed corner, so it's not quite so serious a drama as Danny Hunkadea goes through ahead of Yefe, ahead of Ralph Aaron, and up the hill climbs Engel. Look back from Yefe's Ferrari though, heading towards Donna Maria.
Long left-hander heads up towards the no overtaking spots anyway at the Macau hairpin, and that's where they thread their way around now, tiptoeing so hard. These GT3 cars are pretty wide to squeeze themselves around the Macau hairpin when it's normally pretty difficult to do, and sometimes they come a little unstuck on the exits of the Macau hairpin. Add to that a very, very wet surface, and and they are doing an incredible job.
Now Engel is going to try another move at Lisboa, isn't he, to get third place, and he's got to start round about now. He needs a good exit from Arbeck. He's actually dropped back slightly from Fuoco. The Mercedes-AMG now needs to have a whip turned up, if you like, so that he can attack at the end of this long, fast section. The leading quartet goes over the line. Marciello is ahead by 9/10 of a second, but there is the man to watch, Mauro Engel. He's dropped back slightly from Fuoco, up to the tune of about 6/10 of a second as they head down now in towards Mandarin, and it's Fuoco maybe thinking about getting onto terms with Vantor. Marciello, Vantor, Fuoco, Engel. That's the leading four. Farkas fifth, Van Linder in sixth place. And Engel's so brave a lap ago. I don't think he's quite near enough this time, but he is closing under braking, and he's trying to force an error out of Le Mans winner Fuoco.
Tight entry for the Ferrari down towards Lisboa. That position was very much defensive as Fuoco turned into the right hander at Lisboa. The traditional overtaking pace, as we see, they can go side by side through the corner. It's thrilling stuff right the way down the order. They are not just doing a procession in this race, they are properly racing around the streets of Macau.
And up the escape road, by the look of it, has gone Matteo Cairoli's Lamborghini. So Cairoli, who was in 18th place, has gone straight on at Lisboa. He's gone all the way up the escape road, and he's going to leave the car there. He's out of the race, and I fear it might need an interruption this to get it out of the way, because if anybody else goes up the escape road, they might encounter that car, and Cairoli is not happy. He does not have a great Macau track record, sadly. Last year he was here for Porsche, and he was in the wall quite early on, which is a real shame. Marciello, in the meantime, has got Vanthor still looming large in his mirrors, and Dries has not really been able to unlock the last couple of attempts to close back up, but he does get a little bit nearer under braking. This, in the meantime, is Eduardo Mortaro's view, and the redoubtable Christopher Haase, Audi veteran of over a decade now, is the man ahead of him.
Marciello has just been the way for everyone else to aim at over it, not just this year here at Macau, but also last year. Quickest in qualifying.
That was Haase going out wide. Mortaro trying to get up the inside. It didn't quite work, but a tiny error made by Haase on the way down Faraway Hill, and that was close.
Very, very close indeed, and there isn't a lot of room for mistake on this tight, twisty part of the Guia Circuit here at Macau. Then it opens up as they come down towards the super quick part of the Macau circuit, heading towards the ultra quick curve in the road at Mandarin, on the way down towards the overtaking opportunity at Lisboa, and that's what's going to happen. The Ferrari has a look down at the back of the BMW in second place of Dries Vantoor.
Antonio Fuoco now as he hunts down the BMW ahead of him in second place, and he's just done the best lap of the race. No, he's not. Mauro Engel has done it. No, he's not. Augusto Farfus has done it. After you. Fastest lap of the race, trading between drivers, but Fuoco is very definitely on his toes, isn't he? As now Marciello is ahead by 1.6 seconds, and Antonio Fuoco looking really menacing as far as Dries Vantoor is concerned. Down towards Lisboa they come. Engel's just falling back ever so slightly this time. I don't think Fuoco is near enough to have a go at Vantoor at Lisboa, but just the fact that he's there in the mirrors is adding pressure to 3 times GT World Challenger and Sprint Cup champion Dries Vantoor. Ready on lap number 8.
Augusto Farfus in the BMW in 5th place has got the fastest lap of the race at 2:35.2. Augusto Farfus, traditionally here at Macau, no one can touch him in Sector 1. The amount of times he goes quicker than anybody else in Sector 1. And I asked him what the key was the other day, and in translation, he said bravery.
Eduardo Mortaro is also being a brave boy because he's done an absolute best middle section. But look at Fuoco now. He is all over Vantoor like a cheap suit, and the BMW gets a little bit sideways. That part of the circuit almost looks to have a dry section to it, a dry line, so the cars are sort of squirming from wet, cross dry, back to wet. They're all on bloody wet tyres, it goes without saying. But Vantoor's car now not looking quite as compliant as that of Marciello just up the road ahead of him. Fuoco will be noticing that, going to be working out where to strike. And as Fuoco catches and gets stuck, he's being caught by Engel.
Engel is really good on this section of the circuit. Year after year after year, he is able to really show just a little sliver on everybody else through this tight, twisty, up-and-down section of the Guia Circuit at Macau. And the Mercedes is really one of the last cars we want to see looming ever larger in your mirrors. It's big enough in your mirrors as it is, but when Mauro Engel is right on the tail of the Ferrari as they go around the Melco hairpin, he couldn't have been any closer.
Come on, Antonio, he says, hurry up. tap in the tail. The leaders come down towards Fisherman's, and then Albed, which will end lap number 8. But Vanthorpe now is really in a different race, and that race is not catching Marcello, but is fending off the pack and trying to hang on to second place. He's looking a tad more vulnerable. Fuoco has a think about the inside line down towards Albed. He's got the traction, he's got the line. Has he got the place? They're going to come through absolutely side by side, and Fuoco goes through. Antonio Fuoco up in the second place, and now we're going to see what, if anything, he can do about Marcello. And Engel thinks, righto, I'm up for this as well. He's going to have a go at Vanthorpe. Oh, lap number 9.
Super stuff by the winner of the Le Mans 24 Hours, and Antonio Fuoco set the move up on the previous lap, worked out, yep, this could be something that happens, and then an absolutely perfect manoeuvre to take the second step of the podium. And you're quite right, what can Antonio Fuoco do in the Ferrari to bring down the gap between himself and the leading BMW of Raffaele Marciello? 1.5 seconds it was.
And Engel had a look on the inside at San Francisco. Vanthorpe's car, I reckon, is not as well set up as Marcello's. It just looks looser. It doesn't look as stable anymore. And Engel thought about a chance at San Francisco because he knows that Fuoco is going to get away up the road. So Engel all over the back of Vanthorpe, and now we need to monitor this gap for the race lead. This race is coming alive corner by corner.
It is alive. There are so many top world manufacturers represented here at Macau, and this is what they want to see. Let's have another look at this as Antonio Fuoco pulls over, and Dries Vantour on the right of your screen. They give each other racing room, absolute professionals, and he just slides through.
Excellent point Alan makes. Respect between the drivers, racing room off, and Vanthorpe goes wide, he's in the wall! Engel gets through, Farfus gets through, Vanthorpe keeps going, but Dries Vanthorpe's car slithers out wide. Mercifully, it's still moving, the track is not blocked, he will limp round as best he can to the pit lane, but Dries Vanthorpe's car, I'd said he wasn't looking quite as compliant as those around, and boom, into the barrier as he goes. Engel up to 3rd, and now we'll see if he can catch that Ferrari. What did I say about the race coming alive corner by corner?
It has absolutely come alive. Yeah, Dries Vantour's car didn't look quite right. It looks even less right now as it loses all sorts of places with the Coroni car just behind. And Dries Vantour is going to bring the BMW around the circuit, but that is now a bit of a handful.
It is indeed, and so after briefly leading yesterday's qualifying race, you can see he's done the rear tolling, the car's all crab-like, so the rear suspension is gone. That's game over for Dries Vanthorpe. Coming up behind him to just wriggle past is Jules Gounon, who's having another really horrible weekend here. As Fuoco is already up with Marciello, so that BMW now finds the prancing horse behind. The Ferrari 296 is getting ever closer. Now, last time the gap was 1.5 seconds, okay, when they went over the line. It's down to 4/10, and Fuoco is on mission. Fastest lap now.
I wonder if you can look back at 2024 and say, OK, I ticked off the Le Mans 24 Hours, but I wasn't happy with that. I wanted to add to that the FIA GT World Cup at Macau. And what's the likelihood of that happening for the Ferrari driver? Raffaele Marciello it is that leads. They're seeking out wet bits as well.
Indeed, the track's dry pretty quickly. It goes back to your humidity point, although Engel is struggling to make up the lost ground when he got stuck behind Vanthorpe, but he's on a clear road. Farfus, absolute best first sector. Again, says everybody because he doesn't let them run that. There going through was Ricardo Feller, chasing after Mortara. Feller is 10th, Mortara 9th, Haza is in 8th. And there is a bit of debris at turn 12, we're being told. But Fuoco, there's the hero card illustrating he's 2nd. He's done the fastest lap, and he's only now really about the nap semi-prompted away from the leader. That gap is almost nothing at all, and it's getting reduced by the corner.
And every lap when we've seen Fuoco really come alive is on this twisty section, and that's great for the overtaking manoeuvre towards the end of the lap that Antonio Fuoco was able to exact upon Dries Vantour. Is he planning the same on Raffaele Marciello? You bet your life it is Raffaele Marciello, BMW, Ferrari, Antonio Fuoco twist their way around the top part of the circuit into these tricky right-handers of police very quickly into Moorish. It's caught out so many in GTs and touring cars over the years.
This is the replay of Vantour and Engel from that previous lap, and Engel, I think, had a look. Was there contact between them? There might have been, but either way, Vantour bangs out into the wall, so I wonder whether that may get looked at. But this is being looked at by everybody because it is the lead battle, and I reckon that Ferrari is better at getting its power down, but Fuoco wastes it there by wagging the tail. But normally the move has started at Melco, where the Ferrari has the bite sooner. The BMW, I think, is good in a straight line. It's good when the power kicks in, but it's the better bite out of the corner that helped the Ferrari a lap ago against Vanthor, or 2 laps ago rather, against Vanthor. And is it going to help this time as they come down towards our bend? I don't think Fuoco is quite near enough. That's not going to stop him pulling out and having a look, trying to unsettle Marciello. Although, good luck with that.
Well, it's a place that has worked at this end of the lap and the start of the next lap for the Ferrari driver. Worked very nicely indeed to take second place, but who was able to predict that he would be able to bring down the gap between himself and the race leader? Half a second at the conclusion of 10 laps. Can we have another 10 laps? Well, no, not quite. We've got 6 laps remaining for the 2024 Macau GT Cup, and what a race this has proven to be.
Yeah, the next time I go onto a Macau Grand Prix GT race, can you remind me to nick the checkered flag while I'm down there? Here they come, down to Lisboa, and this time Marciello is responding. He's done an absolute best in the first sector. It's BMW, Ferrari, and then Mauro Engel in third place, who is lapping quicker than the 2 ahead of him. Don't rule him out yet. Fourth, fastest, and we are on lap number 11 here for the Macau GT Cup. Doubles up as the FIA GT World Cup, and what a battle it's turned out to be.
It certainly is. 10 laps are now complete. BMW and Ferrari absolutely locked together, and the Ferrari is able to stay in touch with the BMW on this, the tight, twisty section around Teddy. They go into the solitude S's. That's on board with Raffaele Marciello, looking at the concentration, guiding the car around, avoiding any kind of contact with barriers and walls, and they are oh so close. And a look back at the bright lights of the Ferrari. The Ferrari is looking very, very nimble in these conditions, and this is the part of the circuit that sets up potentially an overtaking manoeuvre for the lead of the race. Around pace they go, 2 as well. BMW, Ferrari, and Mauro Engel in the Mercedes closing up. This is going to be a 3-way battle.
Raffaele Marciello doesn't look overly flustered by this, but he is not getting away, and Engel and Vanthor's incident is under investigation, so there might be a sting in the tail here for Mauro Engel. Right now, though, it is the Mercedes AMG third, Fuoco in the middle of all of this, and he goes a little bit deep into Melco, but can he get the drive off the corner better than the BMW? Not much really to choose between the two, but I reckon Fuoco is close enough to have a go this time. Unless you get Picariello, Lawrence Vanthor, Christopher Haas behind, all battling. So here's the top 3, and the BMW of Marciello, as I say, leads, but he's not getting away. It is certainly vulnerable with that flying Ferrari in second place. It was here 3 laps ago now that Fuoco was able to make a move against Vanthor. He can't do it on that section on this lap, and now the danger is that as they come out of our bend, the BMW doesn't have any more slow corners to have to worry about, and the speed can build, and the gap just extends over that Ferrari. The margin between them is 4 tenths of a second. Engel still runs third, another 4 tenths back, and again lapping quicker than those 2 ahead.
3 manufacturers, 3 of the world's top drivers battling it out for the podium here at Macau, and this is a treat. What a race we've got. Started under the safety car, very wet conditions, the big wide tyres are cleaning up the circuit, aren't they? And we've got a battle for the podium. Into this corridor go. 1, 2, 3, BMW, Ferrari and Mercedes.
And then a bit of a gap back to BMW and Porsche, 4, 5 and 6. Fuoco again makes that climb up San Francisco Hill looking good. And as the race-leading BMW comes towards us a bit further back, there you've got Ralph Aron ahead of Laurin Heinrich. That is the battle for 13th and 14th places. On this part of the circuit, you think the Ferrari is about to challenge for the race lead. But here, of course, Marciello can afford to take his time because there aren't really any wide enough opportunities for Fuoco to commit. That means that he can just get the car safely across the mountain part of the circuit and then wind it up again as the road opens up. But you have to say that Fuoco's Ferrari does look very rapid indeed. However, he will be aware he's running out of laps, running out of time.
11 laps completed now, and there's this intense battle between the manufacturers, between the drivers. BMW, Raffaele Marciello, Antonio Fuoco, Ferrari in second place, looking in front and also looking behind because Mauro Engel is putting him under increasing pressure now as they go through these pinch points at the top part of the circuit. and then onto the left-hander, Donna Maria up towards the Melco hairpin. No overtaking allowed at the Melco hairpin. However, it does set up the end of the lap and the potential overtaking that could present, and the start of the next lap. Again, overtaking presented.
So again, good drive off Melco hairpin. He's central as you see a sideways Farfus. Yes, Fuoco is in the wheel tracks. Engel drops back a little bit. Fuoco has got to have a look here to try to unsettle Marcello. He's quick as he comes into Fisherman's. Is he quick enough? Is he bold enough? Is he brave enough? Will he lose time in a straight line? Because this is where the BMW plays to its strengths. Again, Fuoco right in the wheel tracks, thinks about it, not near enough. Darts left, darts right, trying to force an error. Now Marcello and Engel catches right back up to them as well as they come across the timing line. The gap between the top two at the end of lap number 12 was 4/10. It is now 2/10 of a second, and 3/10 covers the top three. Now Engel is almost there as well. Great pressure for Marcello.
An absolute masterclass in driving a GT3 car in the most tricky of circumstances. This is so ultra high speed that these three are battling, and just tenths of a second separate them in very, very wet conditions here at Macau. The Ferrari just has a look at the inside of this boat, instead ties right onto the back of the BMW. Maro Engel in third place has got an absolutely grandstand view of this battle for the lead, and I'll tell you what, you wouldn't want to bet on any three of these not taking the win.
Raffaele Marciello might be the race leader, but he's under massive pressure, make no doubt about it. He can't get away, absolutely point blank. He has not got the pace to disappear up the road, but what he's doing is driving that car in exactly the right way, playing to its strengths, using the extra grunt where he has. Look, Fuoco crawling all over the back of him, ever so eager. That brings Engel back into the mix as well. Look at this, the top three absolutely nose to tail. And if anybody ever says, oh yeah, this balance of performance, what's all that about? Look how well it works. BMW, Ferrari, Mercedes AMG, first, second, third, tied together. Engel again on his toes, looking for a way to unsettle that Ferrari.
It really is, just applying the pressure. There's no way to get through there for Maro Engel, but certainly to express the intent. I'm here, I'm in third place, and I want second place. Right on the back of the Ferrari, with the windscreen wipers working on second and third. They're not for Marciello, he doesn't need them. It's the balls of spray. He's got the clear view, and therefore the advantage.
Tell you what, it's interesting, isn't it, how quickly the road is driving. It's all of that spray we had on the proper start of the race. Now, this is what's being looked at. This is the Vanpour Engel clash from earlier on. And you can see the BMW was squirming. Now, Engel closes up, and let's see, does he break a fraction later? He has a go on the inside. I don't think there's contact. It's hard to gauge. I think Vanpour just understeers off. It doesn't look like there's any damage on the front of the Mercedes, not even a little fleck of paint that we can easily see. So Engel, even though that's being looked at, might be okay. Here come the race leaders. Marciello sitting in the middle of the road a bit more this time. Fuoco darting around in the mirrors. But, Antonio, you're running out of laps here.
He certainly is. The Ferrari dancing over the road. He goes left, he goes right, slots in behind. Engel's got a good view of it. They all are expressing their intent on the driver in front. But this podium is far from sorted. 13 laps are complete now for the top drivers as they come down towards this pitch point at this bar, through the very, very quick Mandarin, and then down towards this bar. And now Raffaele Marciello has got a bit of a gap. It was nearly 0.4 of a second over the start-finish line, and putting in a faster sector, overall best sector in the first sector, Raffaele Marciello.
Yeah, 4/10 or so quicker than Fuoco. That's massive at this stage of the race, especially for a car that just did not seem to be behaving itself in the same way that the Ferrari was. Let's look back a little bit and see one or two more of the battles, including there, Anthony Fong in the Kuromi Audi, keeping Leo Yi at bay, the very smart pink and black Audi. Allegiance to a cartoon character. We'd love to come back to Kuromi in due course. I'm sorry, Alan, the lead battle is just that little bit more exciting. Marciello, Fuoco and Engel are still tied together.
They are absolutely tied together, and as Maro Engel applies the pressure to the Ferrari, in turn the Ferrari will apply pressure to the BMW that leads the race, and Maro Engel is looking incredibly pacey once again on this up and down tight twisty section of the Guia Circuit here at Macau. they will turn into police. The right-hander at police. The top three absolutely tied together. Jink out for the Ferrari. Just have a little look down the inside, trying to force some kind of error from Raffaele Marciello. It must be so annoying that he doesn't put a wheel wrong.
It must, and it must be also annoying for Fuoco that he's got Engel behind him. Yes, Mauro wants second place. Fuoco wants to attack, not attack and defend. So what happens is he gets stuck behind the BMW. Along comes Engel. He has to fend him off, and eventually he's able to just up the pace a little bit. But he gets stuck behind Marciello, who he can't dislodge. Here they come once again out of the Macau hairpin, and this is where the BMW tries to stretch his legs. Interesting how the Mercedes doesn't look all that good off the hairpin. The gap always stretches, doesn't it, on this part of the circuit, which is right where Fuoco is nearer to Marciello, and possibly nearer at this part of the circuit than he's been on the previous laps as well. So here they come, nose to tail. Fuoco in the Ferrari. It was at this corner he got past Vanthor. He's going to have a go. Full send on the inside. Yes, he's gone through. Fuoco leads. Here comes Marciello back up the inside. Absolutely toe-to-toe across the timing line. Fuoco's Ferrari in front then as they cross the beam. Antonio Fuoco with the move of the weekend leads the FIA GT World Cup, the Macau GT Cup. Raffaele Marciello is down in second place, and Mauro Engel is going to have a go. He looks to the inside line. The battle is on for second as Fuoco tries to break away with a massive move, and boy did he deserve that.
Ferrari leads at Macau, and this is an exceptional race. The Ferrari comes under pressure, defends as they go into Lisboa, and they both go straight on down on the escape road at Lisboa. My goodness, Ferrari, BMW, straight on, Mercedes leads.
They both outbrake themselves, and so up the escape road has got Marciello, up the escape road has got Fuoco, and Mauro Engel leads Augusto Farfus and Sheldon van der Linde. And Mauro Engel is going to be laughing all the way to the casino tonight, isn't he? Because that played out perfectly in front of him. You could see that Marciello got a toe. He was determined to try to fight back, but Fuoco tried to outbrake both of them in a sense. He braked as late as he possibly could, but he was on the wet part of the road. The traction wasn't there. Both up the escape road, and so experience counts. Engel comes through as the race leader, and there is nobody else around him.
Drama, drama, drama at Macau. Let's have another look at this as the BMW leading the race gives way to the Ferrari. The Ferrari goes through. It leads at Macau. The BMW fights back. What a battle this is between the two of them as the Ferrari holds on dear to the lead of the race. Marciello right there behind in the BMW. This the run down towards Lisboa, and this is where it all went wrong for Ferrari. It went wrong for BMW as well. Mauro Engel is right there in the wheel tracks of the top two as they head down towards Lisboa.
Just look how rapidly Marciello closes here. He gets into the wheel tracks, gets a bit of a toe. Fuoco sees him coming, thinks about covering off the line, and then realises he's got a break, and he can't. And Marciello thinks, where's the corner gone? And can't slow the car down and go up the escape road. And Mauro Engel comes through to take over the race lead. That was how Marciello lost the lead as Fuoco went through on the inside. He tried to fight back because he tried to get the undercut, couldn't do it. And then it all kind of unravelled at the end of this next section. Absolutely flat out through Reservoir, down towards Mandarin. Look, the Ferrari at this point, you think, has got the job done. He's getting away. And it was Engel crawling all over the back of Marciello. But the BMW, we've seen it lap after lap, just get stronger and stronger on this part of the circuit. The incident is noted, but here, look how quickly Marciello closes. Thinks about making a move, but he's a bit too tight on the inside anyway. Fuoco suddenly thinks, here he comes, hang on, I need to block, I need to brake. Oh no, there's a tap in the tail anyway, but they're both up the escape road, and Engel goes through. And he's just done with Mauro Engel the fastest lap. We are on the last lap of the Macau GT Cup. The FIA GT World Cup tag looks like it's going to go the way of Mauro Engel, but he's under investigation anyway, don't forget.
He's all on his own, the Mercedes out front. He has won this race at Macau before as Mauro Engel multiple times, once under the title of the FIA GT World Cup and twice more under the Macau GT Cup. It is both this weekend. It is the Macau GT Cup, the FIA GT World Cup, and Mauro Engel is about to etch his name on the winner's trophy once again around the streets of Macau. you've got to be in it to win it.
And you've got to keep out of trouble as well, have you not? Raffaele Marciello has retired to the pit lane, and Antonio Fuoco is in 9th place. That's Marciello then out of the car. And Mauro Engel, a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision, but he's 7.4 seconds up the road.
5-second penalty now for Mauro Engel for causing that collision with Greece back to a start. He's 7.4 seconds ahead of Augusto Farfus.
My goodness, drama. It just keeps giving at Macau. Every year it does so. You are looking at the race leader. He led over Augusto Farfus in the BMW by 7.5 seconds at the end of the last lap. Add to that a penalty. Augusto, come on, mate. Do a push.
Mauro, come on, mate, do a push. So they'll be on the radio saying to Mauro Engel, OK, got a penalty, just keep pushing. He drives for the Mercedes AMG Team GMR, which is the Gruppa M Racing squad. And Mauro Engel, with lots of support for him in the grandstand, he's about to make his way down through Black Sands towards Fisherman's at our bend. And you look at Mauro Engel out on his own on the last lap, and he might, if you just tuned in, think, oh, that wasn't much there. Look, bloke's all on his own. Bet that was a good race. Well, far from it, because so much happened. Absolutely. One corner to go. Checkered flag at the ready. Mauro Engel is going to win on the road. Then we need to look at the clock. Here he comes. Checkered flag at the ready. The Macau GT Cup is going to be won by Mauro Engel. He crosses the line victorious for Mercedes AMG. Now we need to count 5 seconds. Is this man, Augusto Farfus, going to get to the line in time? He heads up towards the timing line. The checkered flag greets him. Augusto Farfus goes through. And the gap is 6.6 seconds. He was nearer, but not near enough. Mauro Engel wins the FIA GT World Cup. Augusto Farfus second, Sheldon van der Linde third. And that was a race that nobody could have predicted.
One of the greats around the streets of Macau. Emotional stuff. Goodness me. Emotions do run high when Ferrari lead a race. They led here at Macau, albeit briefly. BMW went off at Lisboa. So did Ferrari. And a Mercedes came through. The history of Mercedes here in the GT Cup race. And still we've got these pending investigations, you know.
Engel's going to celebrate down at Lisboa. He gets Macau. Macau gets him. He's another really popular driver, Mauro, who has been a mainstay in Mercedes for decades now. And he first really came to prominence in single-seaters like so many. He was the runner-up, what feels like 100 years ago now, in the British Formula 3 Championship. And the man that beat him, Marco Asper, is here this weekend as well, looking after Ralph Aaron. But Marco, after a single-seater career that didn't really click, moved to the DTM for Mercedes, to GT racing for Mercedes, and to V8 Supercars in Australia for a couple of years with the Erebus squad out there. But he's a good guy, great character. He has been a real stalwart, a real trooper for Mercedes AMG, great team player, and all the Macau experience has come into play today. What a race, and it was worth the wait, wasn't it?
Two exemplary races by the GT drivers. Yesterday, lights to flag without interruption. Today, lights to flag without interruption. Just superb. That is what the crowd came for. And big smiles in the grandstands just in front of the commentary box, with good reason. They'll be checking back their photographs of that race, that's for sure. But boy, that was something to bring smiles to the face. In the meantime, the weather's got better, hasn't it? Has cheered up. They said that from midday it was going to be a little bit drier as far as more rain was concerned. And we've just had the biggest tyres in the weekend, clearing water out of the way, getting us ready for the mouth-watering prospect of a World Championship with touring cars about to be decided here at Macau. That will run very quickly off the back of the podium presentation for this FIA GT World Cup Macau GT Cup podium. What a race. We're going to take quite some time to get over that, aren't we?
I do have a rather fortunate existence, as you know, because I get to see a lot of GT races. That was one of the best I've ever seen, because it just kept on giving, didn't it? You had the weather, you had the star drivers, you had the circuit, all adding up to a brilliant battle. And well done, Mauro. And I have to say, accuse me of being biased if you will, but I think it would have been a shame had he lost that on a penalty, because to make a move, or try to make a move on this circuit in wet conditions, yeah, okay, perhaps contact is inevitable, but the stewards did give a penalty, but in the outcome it didn't affect the outcome of the race, and that I think is good.
One in 2014 for the Macau GT Cup, one in 2015 and one in 2022 when it was the FIA GT World Cup. And confirmation, our winner is once again Mauro Engel.
Second, Augusto Farfus and Sheldon van der Linde completes the podium for Alessio Picariello and Lawrence Vansor. Christopher Haase was sixth from Edo Mortara. In seventh place, it was the Lamborghini from Ricardo Fella. Antonio Fuoco, after his trip up the escape road, ninth, and Danny Jonquidea in 10th. We lost Dries van Thor, we lost Mathieu Cairoli, we lost James Q, and we also lost Mauro Engel is your Macau GT Cup. The FIA GT World Cup goes to Mauro Engel. What a delighted man, and deservedly so. Stands out of the car, and a very happy Mercedes AMG. It'll be a very happy Gripperan as well. Well done, Mauro. That was quite a drive. And it illustrates experience, doesn't it? From fourth on the grid, he was saying pre-race that he thought the weather conditions might help. And you can see how much that means to Mauro as he dives onto the front of the car. He's already won this year's GT World Challenger and Sprint Cup with Lucas Arp. That was the ultimate sprint race. Goes to thank the team, congratulate everybody. What a race. Bravo. The celebrations are underway, and very, very well deserved that. You could see it all panning out ahead of him, couldn't he? He just thought, time to lag back. You could see that Marcello was up for a fight with Fuoco. Stefan Rattal in the background, grinning from ear to ear, thinking, yeah, we put a good grid on for Macau this year, the SRO Motorsports Group, and the drivers are delivered. Bravo, says Stefan.
What a race, what a race. The emotions run high down in Parc Ferme with very good reason indeed. This is just wonderful to watch these celebrations. You know what? 2 hours ago, these drivers, these teams would have not really known whether they were going to get a race here at Macau. Today, the weather cheered up the drivers, their abilities absolutely at 100% to race without interruption here at Macau. And we have just seen one of the classic races in any form of motorsport around the Guia Circuit at Macau. That was exceptional.
Celebrations are going to continue. I think you said a touring car race was going to happen immediately after the GT race. I'm not convinced that's quite in Mauro's game plan.
We've got a sit-in. Yes. He's delighted. He's a lovely guy. He's very, very popular. He's been out just in front of the gates of the circuit here at Macau, signing autographs, signing merchandise over the course of the 3 days running up to today. And now he is a winner again at Macau. Just superb to see these celebrations down in Parc Ferme.
So for Kenny Chen's Group M team, I think you saw Kenny, one of the first people to celebrate with Mauro Engel.
Congratulations, go to the podium. Thank you.
A really popular result. So there is Mauro Engel making his way up to the podium. He's crashed up on the front of the car. Still more celebrations, still more photographs. The touring car field is ready to go. Right now, the pit lane is absolutely full celebrations for Mauro. Everybody wants a photograph, and Mauro is absolutely delighted to be back. We had a really good season, a championship win, and FIA GT World Cup. The Macau GT Cup goes as well. Right, podium, Mauro, in your own time. It's heading in that direction.
Generally.
Yes. Another heroic drive etched into Macau. Right, let's just catch our breath while he heads to the podium and have a look at a really tumultuous Macau GT Cup for the FIA GT World Cup. It began on that wet road with Raffaele Marciello on pole position from Dries van Thor, Antonio Fuoco and Mauro Engel. The race began under the safety car, And when they finally were let loose, Engel tried to get around the outside of Fuoco. It didn't quite work. Fuoco was back through into third place. Marciello continued to lead, but it wasn't long before the track started to dry. And that seemed to go against the BMWs. Further back, Christopher Haase was busy battling with Eduardo Mortara. Fuoco made his move against Greenspan for second place and picked him off coming onto the pit straight. After that, he was able to charge onto the tail of Marciello and he dragged Engel along for company. Engel had just made brief contact, though, with Vantor and had a 5-second penalty as Fuoco got the lead as he tried to run through the final corner. Up alongside him, also tried to come. Marciello couldn't quite do it. But then it all went wrong for the pair down at Lisboa, and Mauro Engel went through on the inside. Once he's done with the prize giving tonight, he's off to the nearest casino. It's his lucky day, that's for sure. Mauro Engel then, despite the 5-second time penalty, able to come through on his own to tick off the last couple of laps of a Macau GT Cup race full of drama. Mauro Engel winning the FIA GT World Cup with Augusto Farfus in second place, and delight for Mauro Engel at Macau.